Hi, I'm Cheryl. This is the sample card for the card we'll be making today. And you see, it looks like I have I don't know, like an embossed metal copper plate there with my message on it. And, well, it is embossed, it's heat embossed. The card we're going to be making has a little bit different colorways. I'm going to be using a blue Pacific Point for the card base, and our foil is going to be silver, but our watercolor paper that you see in the background here will be the same. Now, if you haven't seen my video creating watercolor effect paper with dye-based reinkers, you might want to watch that, because that's how I made this paper. And if you want it to be just like this, you're going to have to make your own paper. Alright, so what we need is a piece of Pacific Point cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. A piece of silver foil paper, and this piece is 4 by 5, but the minimum you need is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. I'll have this all listed down below, so don't get too worried about it. And then I have a bit of my watercolor paper here, and this piece, well, we'll need a 4 1/8 by 2 7/8 of this. And on my sample card I used the happy birthday to a very special person, but on this card we're going to use happy birthday wishes, and that's from Avant-Garden. The original from my sample, that was from Oh So Succulent. So, and then we're going to use, if I can get this out, we're going to use one of these squares from the die cuts, and these are stitched shape framelits, and we'll be using, let's see, which one is it? We'll be using this one. And you're thinking, that's square and that little tag is rectangular. How does that work? Well, you'll see. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'll keep that die out, and I can put this aside. And then this is the Spellbinders Nestabilities set, and it has just about any size rectangle you want, I think, but it has a lot of them, and they step down in 1/2 inch increments, I believe. So we're going to be using, we're just going to skip the largest from that set. We're going to take the second to the largest. We're going to put that over here. We're going to take the next one and put that over here. We're going to take the next one and put that there. We're going to take the next one and put that there. And then we're going to take the next one and put that here. Now I'm separating these into 2 piles, because this pile will be for cutting my foil paper, and this pile will be for cutting my watercolor paper. So we can put this aside. And we'll need Snail. We'll need Tombow, I'm sure, somewhere along the way here. We need Versamark Ink, and the your Embossing Buddy silver embossing powder, and of course a die cut machine. So I have my Cuttlebug here. Let me get things arranged so I can kind of get that in the picture here. I have my Cuttlebug here, and let me bring in I just have a piece of scrap paper here on my plate. I just feel like maybe it protects my plate a little bit. I might be wrong, but it makes me feel that way, so I do it. So we'll bring in our piece of silver foil. Let me move these and get this in here where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my piece of silver foil. I'm going to put down my largest rectangle. Then I'm going to center my next one. And this is from my pile that I made. And said this is for, you know, when I said this was for my foil, well, this is for my foil. And this rectangle. Okay, so we want to have those set up on there as even as we can. So we're really going to get some good use out of our foil. And put some of my de-stickified masking tape down on these so they don't move when I put them through the die cut machine. So put them through. And there we go. We should be all cut out. If I can get my tape off. It's a good thing I de-stickified it, huh? Or we'd never get it off. There we go. All right. So now we've got these pieces. This outside piece, we don't need that. But we have our largest piece here. Then our next to the largest, and then we have this piece. So we're finished with this pile. And put them aside and bring in the watercolor paper. And we'll cut that next. So we take the biggest one from the watercolor pile and put that down. Then the next size one, and try to center that as best we can. And stick it down with some masking tape. Now you know what I mean by de-stickified masking tape. I take the masking tape, I stick it on my clothes for a while. It picks up a little bit of lint from my clothes, and then it's not as sticky. And it makes it wonderful for holding dies in place if you don't have a fancy magnetic platform or anything. Okay, and I just stick those pieces back onto my little shelf here on my die cut machine, and I have them for the next time, and we can get rid of that and pop out our pieces here. So we've got now our two pieces of the watercolor paper and some scrap, which I'm not going to throw away. I'm going to keep that because who knows, I might need this sometime. And I save everything. We can get rid of these. Oh my gosh, we're not done with the thing. I have to show you the special, really cool thing with the stitched frame. Okay, so I have the stitched framelits die, stitched shapes. Alright, and it's got all the little stitching line here. It has a cutting line also. But I noticed that my piece fits exactly inside the cut line on this die. Now, the one I cut the rectangles out with, that was a Spellbinders die set. This is from Stampin' Up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape that in place on here, just like so, and you'll notice it doesn't fill the entire die up, but that's okay. Oh, I put it on the wrong one. Well, pooh. Let me peel that off because I sure don't want to cut it on that plate. There we go. Okay, so put my sandwich together. I'm going to run it through, and out it comes. And now we have stitching, those stitched marks on 3 sides of the die. I'm quite excited about this. I don't know if you can tell, but now we have stitching on 3 sides of the die. You see? Oh, I did cut off a tiny little smudge there. I didn't line it up as good as I thought I did. So now we have the stitching. So now we're going to take the die. Let me get this here where you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put it back in the die, but now I'm going to have it so that the blank side is on that edge. And if you slide it around a little bit, the stitching that's on the sides, it will just kind of pop in the die right where those stitched marks are. Okay, so I'm going to stick my tape on there, flip it over. Yeah, you can feel when those stitches slide into place. They just kind of ever so slightly lock in. So we run that through. And now I have stitching all the way around. Isn't that the coolest thing? So that's my newest little tip. Oh, I can put that stitched die away now. I didn't really put it away, I just put it aside. I'll do that later. Alright, now I don't need my die machine. And I don't need these anymore. Next thing I do need, though, is I need my Happy Birthday Wishes stamp. I need my Embossing Buddy. And this is something, if you're doing embossing, you need to have this. This is a must-have because this keeps your embossing powder from ending up all over places that you don't want it to be. Okay, and I have my Versamark ink. I'll ink that up. Well, let me open this so I can be real quick about sticking that in the embossing powder when I stamp it. And center that. And there we go. That looks like a good impression. So I'll just take that. I'll just scoop up some of my embossing powder here. Get that stuck down. Make sure that I didn't get it places I didn't want it. Nope, that looks pretty good. If you get a little embossing powder where you don't want it, you can usually clean that up with just a soft brush. All right, now it's time for the heat gun. I let it run for a little bit, get it hot before I put it on. And we'll just emboss that. So now we have silver on silver, and it looks like it's part of the paper. Okay, it did curl up a little bit. I'll just straighten it out a little bit. But look, you see it? Happy birthday wishes, and it looks like it's just been it looks like it's just part of the silver paper. I'm going to buff that off. And there. So we're ready to put our card together. Now, I didn't put a sentiment on the inside of the card. I don't do that a lot. When I'm ready, I'll probably print something out on my printer, because I like to have my cards say something that's personal, that pertains to that person. So, and I think I'll use the snail. And just put snail all around here. And we're going to center, this is the largest of the silver panels. And we're just going to center that on the card. Okay, then the next piece will be the larger of the watercolor rectangles, the one that's got the cutout here. Now we really made some good use of paper on this card by doing this. Alright, and now I'll center that on the silver. You'll have about 1/4 of an inch showing all around. Alright, and next we do this another piece of the silver. So we didn't need the Tombow after all. We put this one down, we'll center that on the piece of the watercolor paper. That needs to be a little higher. Alright, there we go. And then next is another piece of the watercolor paper. Now, I need to look at the design and make sure that I have it the right way. Okay, there we go. You see, in the pattern of the watercolor, I'm matching that up so it like flows right across. Okay. You can do this with other things too. Like if you stamped a floral background, or birds or trees or butterflies or just about anything. Any kind of background, designer paper, you could do the same thing with designer paper. And now we're ready to put our little, it looks like a metal tag. I think this is the coolest thing I've done in a while. So we'll put that on. And there's a little piece of masking tape there. I think I'll get rid of that. And now I put that so that it overlaps here. So it's not centered, it's just kind of off to the side. It does line up with the outer foil band here. But there it is. And there's the card. Boy, that's blinding when the light hits it right, doesn't it? And so there's my first one. I used the copper foil, and then I used basic gray cardstock for this one. And this is just a different portion of the watercolor paper that I made. And there's the new one. Both are pretty cool. I don't know which I like better. Maybe the new one. So anyway, if you like my videos, then be sure to hit that subscribe or the like button down below. If you'd like to see more, hit subscribe. If you want to shop with me, then you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. And be sure to watch that other video, that creating watercolor effect paper with dye-based reinkers, because that will show you how to make this watercolor paper. And then I did 2 other colors also. I did one that has like pinks and oranges, and then I did another with different greens in it. So you all stay safe, take care, and happy stamping.